Chapter 1. The Fear of Predictability. There is a kind of discipline that feels disturbing to ordinary people, not because it is loud or aggressive, but because it is silent, consistent, and unavoidable. It does not depend on motivation, emotion, or inspiration. It simply exists. You have seen people like this before. They wake up at the same time every day. They do the same work in the same way, without drama. While others restart their goals every Monday, these people never restart because they never stop. And instead of admiration, they often receive discomfort. People say, "That's too much," or "That's not normal." They are right. It isn't normal. Normal people negotiate. This kind of discipline does not. Chapter 2. A man who always restarted. Arjun was intelligent, capable, and ambitious. On the outside, his life looked successful. But inside, there was a quiet frustration that never left him. He could not stay consistent. Every habit followed the same pattern. Gym routines died within 2 weeks. Meditation lasted a few days. Early mornings collapsed after the first sign of fatigue. It wasn't laziness. Arjun wanted to change more than anything. But every attempt ended the same way, with excuses that sounded reasonable in the moment and humiliating in hindsight. He believed discipline was about trying harder. What he didn't realize was that effort was not the problem. Choice was. Chapter 3. The Rule That Ends All Excuses. One night, while reading about ancient Zen monasteries in Japan, Arjun came across a simple but terrifying principle. The monks followed a practice that continued without interruption, regardless of circumstance. Not because they were superhuman, but because they removed the option to stop. There was no debate, no discussion, and no emotional vote. When the bell rang, the body moved. Arjun understood something important in that moment. The monks were not disciplined because they had strong willpower. They were disciplined because they had eliminated escape routes. Chapter 4. Identity over effort. Arjun learned that monks do not promise to practice. They become practitioners. Their actions are not goals. They are expressions of identity. Neuroscience supports this truth. When behavior aligns with identity, the brain stops resisting. Resistance exists only when the identity is unclear, so Arjun stopped setting private goals. Instead, he made a public declaration. He wrote down a clear statement of who he was becoming and shared it openly. People laughed, some warned him, others doubted him. That was perfect. Failure now carried social pain. Continuing became easier than quitting. Chapter 5. Fixing the time. Forever. The next step was removing the daily decision of when to act. Arjun chose a single, unchanging time. Early morning, when the world was silent. Not because it felt good, but because nothing could compete with it. At first, his body resisted violently. Every morning felt like a battle. But slowly, something shifted. The alarm rang, and his body began moving before his mind could argue. By removing time as a variable, he had starved one of his brain's favorite negotiation tools. Chapter 6. One action, one way. Once the timing was fixed, his mind searched for another loophole. It began negotiating the activity itself. Some days he wanted to train, other days to read, sometimes to meditate. Variety felt productive, but it was actually sabotage. Arjun realized that every small choice reopened negotiation. So he locked everything down. The same actions, in the same order, every single day. People called him robotic. They said he was becoming rigid. But rigidity was exactly what allowed freedom from inner debate. Chapter 7. The war inside the body. By the third week, the real war began. His mind screamed for novelty. His body demanded rest. Every instinct told him to break the pattern. But repetition slowly did its work. By the 5th week, something strange happened. He began completing the routine without conscious effort. His body remembered the sequence. Discipline was no longer required. The practice had started to sustain itself. Chapter 8. Practice without gaps, then life intervened. Illness, travel, exhaustion, and unexpected problems appeared. This was where Arjun had always failed before. But this time, he followed the monastery rule. No gaps. A bad day did not mean stopping. It meant reducing effort without breaking continuity. Even the smallest action kept the chain alive. He understood that perfection was not the goal. Continuity was. The moment practice stops, old patterns return. As long as it continues, identity remains intact. Chapter 9. Decisions made in advance. Arjun began pre-solving problems before they occurred. He decided in advance what he would do if he was tired, busy, sick, or traveling. When obstacles arrived, there was no thinking involved. The response was automatic. This removed decision fatigue completely. His nervous system relaxed because it knew there was no uncertainty. No matter what happened, the practice would continue in some form. Chapter 10. Becoming the uncomfortable example. By the end of 2 months, Arjun had changed in a way people couldn't explain. His consistency unsettled them. Friends said he was obsessive. Some said his discipline wasn't healthy. Arjun understood the truth. When your actions highlight what others avoid, they will try to label you as extreme. But extreme is simply what commitment looks like to people who quit often. Chapter 11. When consistency stops. Feeling heroic, after the first transformation, something unexpected happened. The excitement disappeared. There were no emotional highs anymore, no sense of achievement, no motivational rush. Arjun woke up, trained, practiced, and moved on with his day. Nothing felt special. This is the phase where most people quit, not because things are hard, but because they feel ordinary. The mind craves novelty. It wants progress to feel dramatic. But real discipline is boring. It is quiet. It does not celebrate itself. Arjun understood that if something feels heroic, it is usually unsustainable. True consistency feels invisible. Chapter 12. The silence after motivation dies. Motivation did not slowly fade. It vanished overnight. One morning, Arjun woke up and felt absolutely nothing. No excitement, no resistance, no emotion at all. Just emptiness. Earlier versions of him would have panicked. He would have thought something was wrong. But now he recognized this silence as progress. Motivation is loud because it is temporary. Systems are silent because they are permanent. He did the practice anyway, not because he felt strong, but because feeling was no longer required. Chapter 13. The Identity Lock. At this stage, Arjun noticed something subtle but dangerous. His mind started creating a new identity trap. "You're disciplined now," it whispered. "You've proven yourself." This is where people relax. This is where they break the system by trusting themselves again. Arjun remembered the core rule. Never trust feelings, never trust confidence. Only trust structure. He kept the schedule unchanged. Same time, same actions, same rules. Identity was not something to celebrate. It was something to protect. Chapter 14. When life pushes back. Harder. Life doesn't test you when you start. It waits until you're comfortable. That's when the real resistance arrives. Arjun faced longer work hours. Family responsibilities increased, sleep reduced. The pressure wasn't dramatic, but it was constant. Every day demanded more energy than the last. This is how most consistency collapses, not in one big failure, but through slow exhaustion. But Arjun no longer responded emotionally. He responded mechanically. The practice did not adapt to life. Life adapted around the practice. Chapter 15. The discipline others can feel. People around Arjun began reacting differently. Conversations changed. Some friends stopped inviting him to late-night plans. Others teased him, saying he had become too serious. A few tried to test him, offering distractions at the exact time they knew he would refuse. Discipline makes people uncomfortable because it removes excuses. Arjun never argued or explained himself. His silence did more damage than any lecture ever could. Chapter 16. The day he almost broke on day 94, something snapped. Not externally, but internally, Arjun felt an intense urge to stop. Not permanently, just for one day. His mind framed it as harmless. "You've earned it," it said. "One gap won't erase everything." That sentence terrified him. He recognized it immediately. It was the same voice that had destroyed every past attempt. The difference now was speed. He didn't debate. He went through the minimum version of the practice without thinking. The urge passed. The identity survived. Chapter 17. The Point of No Return. Around the 4th month, Arjun crossed an invisible line. Missing the practice now felt wrong, unnatural, almost painful. Not because of guilt, but because it disrupted his internal order. The habit had fully migrated into his nervous system. This was no longer discipline. This was alignment. Just like brushing teeth or locking the door, the practice happened automatically. Stopping would require effort. Continuing required none. Chapter 18. The Death of the Old Self. Arjun realized something unsettling. The version of himself who struggled, negotiated, and restarted no longer existed. Not suppressed, not improved, gone. He could remember that person, but he could not feel him anymore. This is what true change feels like. There is no battle. There is no resistance. The old self does not fight because it is already dead. Chapter 19. Why most people can't follow this path. This system is not difficult. That is the lie. It is simple, repetitive, and brutally honest. Most people fail not because it is hard, but because it offers no escape for ego. There is no creativity, no flexibility, no emotional validation. It does not care how you feel. It only responds to action. That level of responsibility terrifies people, because once you remove negotiation, excuses die with it. Chapter 20. When discipline stops being visible. At some point, Arjun realized that his discipline was no longer noticeable. There were no dramatic mornings, no heroic effort, no internal speeches. The practice blended into his existence the same way breathing does. No one congratulates you for breathing. No one asks how you find the motivation. You simply do it because stopping would feel unnatural. This was the final stage most people never reach. Discipline had disappeared, not because it failed, but because it had succeeded completely. Chapter 21. The Loneliness of Consistency. Consistency creates distance, not intentionally, but inevitably. Arjun noticed that fewer people related to his rhythm. Conversations revolved around stress, lack of time, and restarting plans. He listened, but he no longer lived there. His silence in these moments was not arrogance. It was separation. Not everyone can walk beside someone who moves forward every day. Some will fall behind, some will disappear. That is the cost of permanence. Chapter 22. The world tries to soften you. Once consistency becomes unshakable, the world tries a different strategy. Instead of attacking, it comforts. You've done enough. You deserve rest. Balance is important. These words sound wise, but they are often disguised invitations to return to inconsistency. Arjun understood that true rest is intentional and planned, never emotional. Rest that comes from weakness is retreat. Rest that comes from structure is fuel. He rested without breaking the chain. Chapter 23. The Absence of Inner Conflict. The greatest reward of unbroken practice was not strength, productivity, or success. It was peace. The internal arguments had vanished. No more guilt, no more self-disappointment, no more mental noise. When there is no negotiation, there is no conflict. Arjun did not feel superior. He felt aligned. His actions matched his standards. That alignment created a silence most people mistake for boredom, but is actually freedom. Chapter 24. Becoming dangerous. Without trying, people around Arjun began changing their behavior in small ways. Some became defensive. Some avoided certain conversations. A few quietly started improving themselves. Consistency is contagious, but also threatening. It exposes the gap between intention and action. Arjun never preached. He never explained his system unless asked. His existence was enough. He had become proof, and proof is uncomfortable. Chapter 25. The Final Temptation. The last temptation was pride. The thought that he had mastered himself, that he was above failure now. This is where discipline rots from the inside. Arjun remembered the core truth. Systems don't care who you think you are. They only care what you do. He kept the structure unchanged. Same time, same practice, same rules. Pride never entered because there was nothing to adjust. The system remained larger than his ego. Chapter 26. What remains? When everything falls apart, then came loss. A period when nothing felt stable. Work pressure increased, personal life shook, sleep broke, energy disappeared. Old Arjun would have collapsed here. New Arjun did not feel strong either, but strength was irrelevant. The practice continued in its smallest form. One movement, one breath, one page. When everything else felt uncertain, the practice became the only constant. And constants anchor you when the world shakes. Chapter 27. The moment he realized it was permanent. One morning, Arjun woke up late. Not by minutes, but by hours. There was no panic, no guilt, no self-attack. He calmly adjusted and completed the minimum version later in the day. That's when he understood. Even disruption could no longer destroy the system. It bent, but it did not break. Consistency had stopped depending on perfection. It had become permanent. Chapter 28. The end of motivation. Forever, Arjun no longer believed in motivation. Motivation was for beginners. It was useful but unreliable. What replaced it was something colder and stronger. Identity without emotion, action without drama, progress without excitement. This wasn't inspiring, it was effective. Motivation fades, identity persists. Systems endure, demands repetition until the old self dissolves. Most people would rather feel inspired than be consistent. They would rather dream than repeat. This path does not reward hope, it rewards execution. Chapter 29. Why this path is rare. Very few people choose this path because it offers no applause, no shortcuts, no flexibility for ego. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment.